da pokloniť sa Tebie i pojeť Tebie, da pojeť, že imeni Tvojemu vyšli.
Greetings and welcome to the 8th installment of the introduction to the Philokalia. Today, my background is a little bit different because I want to talk to you about the subject of stillness. And it's amazing to me in Western theology how many people think that the subject of stillness went out with cavern churches. The subject of stillness is something that is unknown or virtually unknown in the West because in the West, there was a focus, a fascination with, an emphasis on the idea of being busy for the Lord. And certainly we should be about good works, but there is a principle of Hesychia, that is the principle of stillness, that has been lost in Western civilization. And if we look at the chief criteria for everything that we do, being, does this thing that I'm doing place me at peace with God? That peace that passes understanding. If I am looking at that peace that has been achieved through inner prayer, that has been achieved by the subduing of the passions, that has been achieved by that, to where we've gotten that state of serene indifference, then things have to start being evaluated based upon their effect to our stillness. Now, monastics, of course, focus heavily on stillness. St. Simeon, the new theologian, of course, writes that your cell can teach you everything. The idea of stillness being that quietude that allows us to truly confront our inner man in such a way that we are in a position to be serenely indifferent about the things of the world. Now, we don't do this because we hate the world. We don't do this because we hate our neighbor. If we remove ourselves from the busyness of the world simply because we find other people unbearable, then we're just hermits and not holy men. Rather, what we have to do is to withdraw from the world in order to effectively intercede from the world. Now, I take 1 day in 7 and I unplug from everything. The nature of my office doesn't allow for me to be withdrawn for more than, say, a week or so at a time. There was a period in 2014 where I took almost a complete year and withdrew from all social media, from the news, kind of put a self-imposed moratorium, a blackout, in order to seek the Lord. It was, without a doubt, the best spiritual year of my life. And I recommend that everyone take a season to clear your head of the busyness and the noise. The concept of stillness is something that, again, seems so foreign in the West. But we are promised a peace that passes understanding if we will pursue it. It's there for us. We simply have to decide that our fellowship with God is more important than anything else that's out there. More important than building our congregation, more important than any other earthly goal. St. Hesychia the priest writes, "Let your model for stillness of heart be the man who holds a mirror into which he looks. Then you will see both good and evil imprinted upon your heart." You see, if we stay so very busy that we never have time to confront our personal hurdles, it's very easy, this is especially true for ministers, it's very, very easy to get so busy doing the labors of God that we never really work upon our relationship. To be a true monk, one has to first resolve to be a monk. Monasticism, of course, is not for everyone. I envy the monastics. I really do. But we don't necessarily have to withdraw completely from the world to find Hesychia, stillness, in peace. If you wish to be in the Lord, St. Hesychia tells us, do not just seem to be a monk and good and gentle and always at one with God, but decide to be such a person in truth. I've said in the last lesson on prayer and elsewhere that sincerity is more important than effectiveness. In the sense that I know many, many very effective men who scramble around doing great works, but they do them in order to build a name for themselves or to build a church that will live on beyond them or some such thing. And so these men, while they are quite busy, have little or no peace. With all your strength, pursue the virtue of attentiveness, that guard and watch of the intellect, that perfects stillness of heart and the blessed state of the soul when free from images, which is so rarely found in a man. 24-hour news cycle. Horrible for the human condition. Because that 24-hour news cycle has to be fed. And it's fed with the latest images of the latest outrage, of the latest political uproar, of the latest silliness. All things that, if we allow them to, will take us away from the things of God. According to St. Didacus, spiritual knowledge comes through prayer, deep stillness, and complete detachment, while wisdom comes through humble meditation on Holy Scripture, and above all, through the grace given by God. It is not easy to come to a place of serene indifference. I myself can only maintain it for periods of time until the busyness of church requirements have a tendency to take me out of it. And while I'm doing good works and things for the Lord and good service to my fellow men and all of that, it's easy for those things to rob us of our peace, to rob us of our stillness. And so we have to take a concerted effort to get back to that place of peace. Stillness, prayer, love, and self-control, according to St. Gelasius of Libya, are a 4-horse chariot that bears the intellect to heaven. He also says, stillness and prayer are the greatest weapons of virtue, for they purify the intellect and confer upon it spiritual insight. It takes a lot of effort. Self-control and strenuous effort curb desire, and stillness and intense longing for God wither desire. The things of the world will drag us out of our stillness, and so we must make a concerted effort, a forceful practice of self-control and love and patience and stillness, to destroy the passions that are hidden within us, to maintain that unflappable understanding. There's a little bit of insight, and once we get that insight, once we get that momentary understanding of what it is to be at peace, once we understand that, once we experience that, we don't ever want to give it up. Oh, the things of the world may demand upon us, and we may have to go back and seek it again and again. And I understand that to somebody who has labored and labored and labored and labored and labored and labored and labored for the Lord, and then got up and labored and labored and labored and labored and labored and labored, It may seem that seeking stillness is spiritual laziness, but that is simply not so. Think of Mary and Martha listening to the teachings of the Lord. Martha busy, running to and fro, taking care of everything. A diligent servant, a wonderful woman of God, no doubt. Mary, on the other hand, sitting quietly listening, learning, soaking up the presence of God. Soaking up the presence of the Messiah while he might be found. Which of the two had the greater blessing? I encourage you, take some time as you are working on developing a life of continual prayer, as you are working through bringing the passions to heal. I pray that you will experience that peace, that stillness, that Hesychia peace that comes from the Lord. And as you receive that peace, I pray that you may in all things keep it. May the Lord bless you and grace you and give you peace.